Welcome to the Port Charles Update with your hosts, Mish and Mel. Hello. Hi.
Hello. I love your personality. Your, what is it? Your like Hollywood persona when we
Oh,
start
please.
our podcast.
Which is what?
we shake it out, we take a deep breath, and we remember why we do this. We love GH and it makes us happy.
Oh, you mean I'm more deflated when we start? I see. You're like,
I mean, you are
you're
coming
dead
off
inside.
of a break.
Yes, home with the kids for a week. Honestly, maybe it's the, I don't want to say, but when I watch at nighttime, I'm like, oh man, this is gold. It's like the crap that comes out of, I forget all of it, but the crap that comes out of my mouth, like even Johnny like is like shocked. I guess it's inappropriate. I don't know. But you guys don't know about that part. So let's get started. You know what? I have a secret.
Tell me.
I
I
have a
won't tell
secret.
anybody.
I haven't even told you.
Oh
I'm
my
really
gosh.
AI. I'm kidding. Uh, Kate, do you know what I started watching?
What?
I started watching Beyond the Gate.
Is that new soap opera?
Yeah. Okay, but I'm really paranoid. Okay. So like years ago when I went to like New
Mhm.
York or whatever, like I'm talking a very bajillion years ago, I there was like they were filming something and I went. It wasn't Good Morning America. It was one of their like midday shows or whatever because I could not wake up early. So I went to the taping of something. And while I was there,
Mhm.
what made me unhappy was somebody was talking about, yeah, we want to get this show going. And it was supposed to
Uh-huh.
knock out General Hospital. I was
What the?
furious and I was like, screw this. I'm not watching any kind of like daytime show that's not a soap, right? That's not like a daytime drama. And like
Yes.
soaps at the time were super at risk. And just to hear that, I was like, seriously? So I stopped watching the show I showed up to a taping for. um, and that happened, right? Do you remember when they started taking off all the soaps and like swapping them with like cooking shows and
Yes.
whatever? Anyways, so it's kind of a big deal, right? That like Beyond the Gate started. And so I'm like, oh, let me just like record. So when I went to go record it, we have, like those channels
Yes.
that start at a later time. So I picked a recording for like 4 p.m., but then I realized it plays at the same time as General Hospital. So I have like mixed feelings about that. Yeah. So
Okay,
like, I
okay.
don't know if this means anything, but I purposely don't record the time slot that plays at the same time as General Hospital. I record it at a later time slot. It's like, I want you to be successful 100% because we were in a world where they kept taking away our soaps. And the fact that they created one is
Yes.
huge, huge. And like it's funny because it's like because it's not General Hospital, which we take notes on and we do a podcast on,
Mhm.
I don't have to take notes.
I know. As you know what? I was
And
thinking the exact same thing. I'm like, how do you watch this? You just like enjoy it
I just watch
without
it.
notes.
I just watch it. So I will say this, guys. I'm like, the drama finally started in the show, and that's the thing. I'm not up to date on today's episode. Like I'm behind, but that's what's fun. I don't have to like. I could just sort of watch it on my own time and like keep it there, which is such a different experience. I will
Yes.
say this. First episode, they're introducing everybody. The matriarch, I would have to say, amazing acting. Like, you know what I mean? Like we watch soap operas, we know when someone is feeling comfortable because like we're in it, we're in their character. So that was interesting to see how will they do this.
Hmm.
So the first episode, I'm like, all right, all right. And then like you slowly get introduced to other people, and then like there is like kind of like a big drama. So some big events do kind of happen, but you got to like give it a chance, like give it like a week or whatever to hit into the
Hmm.
drama. And some major stuff is like going on right now. And I can't wait to catch up because today is the episode that Kevin Collins makes an appearance as some
My
kind of
word.
not full blown mobster,
What?
but like scary casino guy that you don't want to mess with or you don't want to like owe money to. So I've been I've been watching it, and so I'm like maybe like a day and a half behind. But today's the
Okay.
day he's supposed to make his first appearance.
So this is like brand new. We're talking
Yeah,
about
yeah,
like
like
it
that's also
just hit the. So there's
yeah.
like literally, I just googled it. There's 5 episodes. Is that correct?
Wow, I feel like I've been watching for 2 weeks. I'm like, guys, no, yeah, I guess it's
Yeah.
only been on for a week. Sorry for being really dramatic, but I guess I love soaps for that reason. But yeah, I guess it's only been a week, and I'm like
Oh my
trying to like catch
gosh.
up. So at night I'll watch a bit, whatever. But yeah, it's interesting because it's like I'm watching GH, I do my thing, and then that one I just pop on and it's more like, oh, I feel like I'm cheating. So it feels weird. It feels weird because I haven't watched a second soap in years. Like I actually ditched all my other soaps for General Hospital
Yes.
years ago. So I'm very loyal to
Yeah.
General Hospital. So this is really weird for me because I want to support this new soap opera. So yeah.
Okay, totally on board. I'm going to check it out.
Yes. Okay, I'm excited to see Kevin. So, did you guys catch Brad Lucas in Miami at the hot new club between curtains?
I was going to say, like, okay, what do you think that is? What space did they use? Did they
Oh
revamp their
my God.
cafeteria? Like, what is it?
I don't know, but I died. I died. I'm like, okay, so they're like, look, we found some room. We're just gonna chuck some curtains here, chuck some curtains there. Boom,
Ambiance.
we're in Miami. But the hotel I recognize, and I forget what escapade this was at.
Oh my gosh. Wasn't it the one? I made note of this. Was it the Alexis and the doctor she was dating?
Maybe. Maybe because there was another one too that I don't remember that I'm thinking maybe it was Carly. But yeah, but we've seen the hotel room before. The club, I
Hmm.
was just wondering, do you think they just rejigged the Savoy?
I think so. Like, I
Yeah.
was trying to get a better, but yeah, I think so.
Rejig the Savoy, or it could be like the background of Jordan's apartment. I don't know. She has
It's
that
true.
like industrial bachelor pad apartment, which
Yes.
totally fits to how we see Jordan.
Absolutely.
Okay, so this is what I have to say. So this is really interesting, actually, because this scene, all the stuff with Brad and Lucas, it made me disagree with Lucas in the context of Brad and Lucas,
Hmm.
but I'm actually in full agreement with Lucas on the Carly Brennan situation.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, okay. I'm late to the game. Okay, so tell me. So did you agree with what Brad said to Lucas about their relationship and about Lucas's, a little bit high and mighty?
I do think that Brad had a point. I really felt bad for him because
Yeah.
Lucas is always going to have this like unrealistic standard about what a relationship is supposed to be. And it doesn't matter what Brad does. Like if he forgets to bring home bread one day or does something like completely wrong, I feel like things would just blow up. So unfortunately, like until Lucas does some therapy and gets over the fact that this is poor Charles, you're going to date somebody with a dark history, you're going to have to deal. It's not going to work.
But I think it's also just understanding that this is progress for Brad.
It
You know what
is
I mean?
though.
Like, and that's the
Yes.
thing. Like, you have that. This is what I mean, like, about actually accepting the person and reality, because you can actually take notes from Chase and Brooklyn, right? Chase had
Yes.
to accept Brooklyn for who she was. And that didn't mean flipping the script and her becoming squeaky clean like Chase. He had to
Mhm.
finally go and say, you know what? I have to accept that some scheming would happen. Kind of like with Carly. She grew as a person, but I mean, look, you got to expect her to kind of lose it here and there. And, she might get into a scheme. It'll be less bad than the past, but it's a part of
Yes,
her,
absolutely.
and it's kind of like Ava too. Ava has evolved. I love Ava, but those parts of her
Mhm.
will still be there. And that's just a reality. So for me, I was like yelling at the TV and I'm like, Lucas, can you not be like Chase and actually accept Brad? Like, you want him to actually be a different person. And it's just, this
Yeah.
is him trying to be better. Like, he's letting you know what led to this moment so that you can make an informed decision. And he is right. If he tells you the truth and comes clean to you, what's the point? Like, what's the point of being honest and
Exactly.
practicing these better behaviors if you're going to just cut him off and punish him? But what's really interesting is I'm finding Portia and Brad to actually be in the same boat, because Portia is afraid to
Mhm.
tell Curtis the truth when I'm like, you already told him the main truth. And she's in that situation
Right?
where she's been known to lie and has lied in a relationship. And yes,
Mhm.
she did lie again, but Curtis's standard is just a little too high for a guy who's kind of like kissed his ex while being with his wife, for a guy who made a deal with Selena and didn't exactly tell Portia, for a guy who made a
Mhm.
whole career change without actually talking with his wife. Like, he does a lot,
Yes.
that's sort of his own thing. And so, one, I think his standards are too high. And I think she's in that Brad situation where she feels like she has to be perfect. She was given a chance. I mean, at least Brad knew his value. I would say Portia in this situation doesn't seem to. She really seems like he's doing her this favor. He gave her a chance
Yeah,
and she could lose him versus like her being something that he could lose.
exactly.
So it's just interesting given what Brad did to Portia
Hmm.
that they kind of are really in the same situation in their personal lives. And perhaps there might still be room for bonding. Um she's recognizing that Brad's blackmail was baby-ish compared to like let's say a Drew. So maybe there is
Right?
still hope for those two finding some middle ground. Yeah.
Well, I hope so. I like that kind of preview of having a fun dynamic between those two because exactly that. At the end of the day, Brad had to figure out, okay, I was blackmailing Portia, but now my Aunt Selena is blackmailing me. Who's the worst blackmailer? How do I deal with the situation? And that's what she's doing with Drew. And then they could lean on each other's shoulders about their baby blackmail
Oh,
situation versus the larger threat.
oh, that's interesting. Oh, wow. No, I see it now. Thinking back to that scene where Portia defended Brad against Selena,
Hmm.
because I was like, how are these two going to come together, right? Because she has like
Right?
every reason to be mad and he's not in a good place. But when you lay it out like that, because she doesn't have many people she could talk to this about.
Yeah.
Look at her circle, right?
Yeah.
Brad, her circle of
Ava.
trust, her circle of truth is Brad, Ava, Rick. That's
Oh my gosh. She
hilarious.
has
That's
come,
hilarious.
right? She's come
And
like such a long way from squeaky clean to all out gray space.
oh my gosh, now that you say it though, think about it. She doesn't want to risk losing Curtis, even though I think it's completely ridiculous. I didn't
I
tell him
know.
Brad was blackmailing me for like a day off. Who cares? Like nobody cares.
It's baby blackmail. Come on.
And then the fact that like Brad will come back with, well, my aunt was gonna like mess with me and Lucas. He was going to take that chance off
Hmm.
the board entirely. And that's exactly Portia's predicament. So
Yeah.
that's really interesting. And I don't know if these two, I don't know, like they're not good schemers. They're going to need a lot of help.
Terrible. Yes.
You know, I would definitely love to see this team flourish between like Brad, Ava, and Rick. But I have to say, I was really happy when she called Ava.
Yes.
I think Ava's advice was sound and she completely rejected it. I think the easiest thing to do is talk to Rick like she did. You know,
Yes.
he said, let me find out to know what all the risks are. So that was good advice. But also looping Curtis in so that you can really have full control in how you manage Drew.
Yes.
But I will say this before Rick kind of got involved, which I do think is a really good idea. I think you're gonna have anybody on your side, it's him.
Hmm.
Is that when she went to Ava, it put the last piece in the puzzle of that fantasy scenario you and I talked about last week. We talked about how Nina would show up in Carly's kitchen. We talked about the only person who would see that and give us that, huh? What's this? But also
Yes.
be okay with it would be Ava. But now we know she would be very okay with it because Drew is coming for Portia. And that for the first
Yes.
time puts all of
Oh
these boss ladies on the same page with a common enemy.
my God. I freaking love it so hard.
So, like, when I saw her go to Ava, my mind was just going to that scene because now that scene we had created in our minds makes
Yeah.
even more sense once Ava kind of like what's going on because that's the one person both of them would be inclined, to share.
Yes, absolutely.
And now we got all kinds of avenues and like I could see all those women wanting to kind of like not just go after Drew, but I mean want to also protect Portia, right? Like that's Joss's best friend's mom. Anyways, but just having all those people band together would be amazing.
But didn't Portia have a very mob line this week? Where was it? She was talking to Ava.
Hmm.
I think she said something like, "We would all be better off if Drew wasn't around," or something really dark.
Well, okay, so if that's true, what also I noticed that seemed very mob like too, and I don't remember the line, but it was when Carly and Nina were talking. She said something about
Oh,
like
it's her
needing
too.
to handle Drew
Yes.
no matter what. So it does make me wonder
Mm,
for another conspiracy, right? Like, I
yes.
don't think that they're gonna kill Drew. I'd be down for not having another Quartermain die and filling up
Yeah,
that
same,
crypt.
same.
But they have been talking about the Quartermain crypt though a lot.
Oh no, yeah, they have.
I would prefer nobody else
Mm.
enter the crypt.
Same.
But I would definitely like a Ryan Chamberlain type of these were all the people who played a role in taking you down or doing something to you in some shape or form and got away with it.
Yes, me too. I really want to see that.
And if that means, Ava, Nina, Carly, and pulling in Portia, and I don't know if Nina or Carly will let Rick in to the fold.
Yeah.
It's funny because that's where Carly and Nina would draw the line and kind
Mm-hmm.
of puts like Ava on the outs of them. So I'd rather keep him out of it and have them bond just for this moment in time. I think it
Yes.
would be like epic, right? And you would need an epic reason for these women to really be on the same page, like on every level, and to do it without like a Sunny or a Jason, which is exactly what I think will happen.
Oh, same. Oh, I freaking love it so much.
Ooh, yes, yes. Okay, other things happened, and I am not all right. Given that I just came off of watching, I'm a little all the way riled up. So,
Lady, lady,
okay.
lady. I'm just like, I cannot handle all these things. So where do we want to start to break this down?
I want to start at the beginning, which is where I began to have concerns. And those concerns came to fruition. Okay, so it starts with Lulu trying to lure Spinelli in to her web of stupidity. Okay, she's just
Well said. Well said.
luring. And it bothered me. It bothered me on so many levels because as I'm watching her interact with Spinelli and drawing him in, like this is the thing that I think she fails to see. Like she's like, there's secret information out there, and I'm the only one that can discover it. Me and my instincts, the same instincts that go to Brooklyn and
Mm,
be like, you knew all of this. This was all you. Martin's your lawyer. I'm like, yeah, your instincts are
wow.
spot on. And I wait
Yeah.
till I get to that point. So she's there with Spinelli, and she doesn't realize that Spinelli, without being asked,
Yeah.
has been searching for Charlotte.
Yeah.
Okay. And then when they were there, my concern was, won't Maxie get mad if she gets Spinelli into
Mm-hmm.
trouble? Remember, like, there's a history of Lulu and Maxie and Nathan. And I don't think Maxie has any space for any drama that would hurt her family. She lost
Yes.
Nathan as a result of Lulu's hubris in wanting to write this epic story and lure out Cesar Faison.
Oh,
Okay.
yes. Mm-hmm.
And Dante felt a type of way about it. Maxie clearly felt a way about it. And for a long time, Lulu was like, oh gosh, it was just a story. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean for your husband to die. And so she was like that. And it took a long time before she was able to acknowledge the pain her decision caused. Maxie obviously calmed down, but Lulu finally had to take some accountability
Yes.
for the dangerous choices she made. And she wouldn't stop saying, Nathan agreed, Nathan agreed. But
Mm.
she could not think past what she wanted, just
Yes.
like the spot she's in now. So already I'm getting annoyed because she's messing with Maxie's family. And this touches on the theme of like Brooklyn confronting her with deception, being like, are you not seeing like how much Maxie put into this company and you just want her to
Yes.
grant you this favor and not understand that Maxie is actually in charge of the well-being of all the people of the company, all of their livelihoods, not just
Yes.
you. And she's acting like everyone else's life stood still. And she does act entitled for everyone else to kind of, what was the word she used? I think she said something that everyone coddles Brooklyn. This
Yes.
girl, every time she talks, is simply
Mm-hmm.
and only describing herself. And right now,
Yes.
a lot of people have been giving her a lot of leeway, but they're kind of annoyed, right? Because they also cannot erase the 4 years that they lived, just like she can't undo the 4 years she missed. So at
Yes.
some point, these experiences are going to come to a head if she can't kind of slow down a little bit, okay? And
Slow her roll, or else we're all gonna be Dante mad at her because that was gold.
oh yeah, it was amazing. So what disappointed me was her overhearing that Martin somehow was still brokering a deal regarding Valentine's house and all this stuff.
Yeah,
I'm like, damn it. And then it all kind of came together, you know?
exactly.
Lois going to him, the whole like Sunny looking for a house. And I knew immediately the one house that would be available.
Available. Yeah, we
And
know
they're
the real estate there.
exactly. In my head, I'm like, well, that's the only one that would meet his needs. And I'm just finding it so funny because it's like, hell yeah, that was a gorgeous house. Please
Right?
do not deprive my eye holes from seeing that. And, why would we waste an unused set? You know? And the
Exactly.
funny thing is that I find it hilarious that both Sunny and Sidwell are occupying Valentine's old homes.
Oh, right. That's so funny.
I find that funny. So now Lulu has broken in with Spinelli, and I'm just annoyed. My favorite line
Super
though came
annoyed.
from that. I don't know if for you too. Um, Lulu, because after she overheard everything, I never should have doubted my instincts. And Spinelli goes, "Wow, that's an incredible life lesson." The most sarcastic tone. It's so clear what everyone thinks, and
Right.
and she doesn't even like it's completely over her head.
Yes.
And then like when Lulu was like, "Oh my gosh, this was Charlotte's home."
I cannot.
I'm like, dude, she was in boarding school most of the time.
Right.
FYI.
Right.
Okay. Okay, Lulu. And so then she goes through this plan. So Lulu and her instincts, okay, and all of her Spencer qualities lead her to Martin's room where she spends an hour slowly looking
It
through
was so frustrating.
illegal, confidential documents. And so, again,
Uh-huh.
this is what was building for me. So,
Hmm.
I'm mad that she's now messing with Maxie's man friend, baby daddy. Now she's
Yes.
costing Maxie time and money. Okay. Because
Oh
now
my gosh,
Maxie
right?
has to come up with a cover story. And now she's hiring and paying this dude.
I my jaw was on the floor. I'm like, she I don't care how much of best friends they are, but she better say something to her and there better be a wonderful face-to-face scene with the two of them.
And I've got to presume that that blouse she damaged with red wine was a Cartulo. And I don't think
Exactly.
like all of it. And I understand that Maxie chose to help her, but I mean, she's afraid for her to get in trouble. Like she's literally in the middle of committing a crime and she didn't want her friend to get caught. She should have let her get caught. It was her uncle.
Here's the thing, like you said, it everybody else has grown and matured. Maxie's not just thinking Lulu. She's thinking Lulu's kid. What is Rocco going to feel like? Or that's how I felt, anyways, watching
Hmm.
Maxie navigate the situation, is that she was put between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
Martin could have said, "Hey, no, you're going to be arrested. You're going to be held for the night. I'm not dealing with this. I don't care if I'm your uncle or if you don't like me. Like, you're in my room. You're invading. You broke the law by going through my files." Like, I think Maxie's version of the world is so much different than Lulu's, whereas Lulu is still very selfish and young and immature.
I agree with that point you're making, right? That Maxie didn't come at this in the old school, we're like
Yeah.
in this together. I think you're right. I think she came at it with the full picture of Lulu being a mother, that there being more at stake, and obviously wanted to protect her and was upset about it too, right? It
Yes.
wasn't all fun
Yes.
and games like it might have been in the past. And
Hmm.
and what bothered me the most was that she left this girl like needing to spill crap on her shirt. Meanwhile, she's already left the room,
I
made her way
know.
to
Oh
the
my
courtamine,
gosh.
chilling with
Awful.
Cody, pumping him for information, then goes, "Oh shoot, I should text Maxie."
That's
Like
messed
she
up.
saw all the text, she heard the loud voices and never once got her crap together. So the bone I have to pick with Little Miss Instincts is Delulu found papers. Okay, she found papers,
Yes.
she read the papers, and Johnny was freaking out because I was reading it as she like because there's so many parts that were blocked in the scene
Yes.
and maybe only shown later, and he was laughing because I was able to like read it like I knew what was on there, and there was a line, and I'm just saying, you were in the room, you looked at the paper. Not only did you look at the paper, you looked at them a lot, you spread them out on a bed, you took pictures. Lois banged on the door, and in your mind, all you could say is, "Ah, Brooklyn did all this."
Brooklyn,
I
yeah,
don't
how
think
dare you?
I think she might have missed the sentence. And okay, let me see. It's right here. So in the document, below Dante, so where you're reading and it says like Dante is like unaware of being the father, below that it says mother has no knowledge of the babies, and then the sentence cuts, and I'm pretty sure they're
Yes.
talking about whether or not it's a boy or a girl. So given
Yes.
how that sentence was written, how would Brooklyn go to Martin and say, "Hi, I'm the mother. Mother, me is of no knowledge." Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying, like, if you had taken a minute to know that she did not know whether the baby was a boy or a girl, but you seem to know. Like, does that make any sense? Like, how would Brooklyn be able to give both pieces of that information? And the fact that
Yes.
Lois banged on the door and it didn't occur to her that Lois was looking for Martin and Lois might have hired Martin.
She only put two and two together way later.
She has not put that fact together. You know, she barely put that
She
fact
barely
together.
did.
Oh my gosh. So all of this happens, and I cannot tell you how frustrated I am and grossed out. The invasion of privacy that she's in that room. And
Yes.
then she goes to see Cody and just try to get more. So for me, I'm like already really upset about like the drawing in of Spinelli, the Maxie factor, just how she is with Brooklyn in general, because
Yeah.
okay, fine. This part I have to say I do kind of like admire in a way, because before Lulu ever came back, before it was even an idea, like we would say that it's going to be really interesting to watch her come back and see that Brooklyn has changed, right? Because before this,
Yeah.
Brooklyn was the enemy. Everybody kind of knew that. You know, yes, she had somewhat of a relationship with Dante, but meh. And certainly Maxie and her weren't close.
Yes.
So I will say that part I do kind of enjoy, that they took that essence of what we thought would be the most challenging part for Lulu and did keep with that, because that is what's happening.
Yes.
The hardest part, what's so sad is I actually believe it's Tracy, Maxie, just watching Brooklyn be like grown and being respected and like having this wonderful life, I think breaks her heart more than Sam and Dante having had a life together. She's so fixated. She's
Yes.
so fixated on Brooklyn. It's insane. It's so
It's
insane.
stalkerish. Hmm.
And a lot of people, like some people in the comments, feel that like this is not the Lulu they know. But like that is how I
It is
remembered Lulu.
though. Same.
Before she left, the way that she was. Like, I mean, I definitely felt for her in the aftermath of Dante leaving. I did. You know, they
Yes.
showed this part of her being depressed and her kind of coming back to life. And I really enjoyed her and Dustin. But then I kind of go, when it came to like dealing with Charlotte and Valentine, always a struggle in that way. But again, when I think about the stuff she's done, you know, like the Nathan stuff, the brothel, I will never get over the
Oh,
brothel.
I
I
will
will never get
never
over the brothel.
unsee that.
So in all of this mess, she runs to Carly, tells her, "Hey, you have a guest who's a lawyer. I took this key, I broke into his suite, I went through his documents, and I found this information out. And I know that Olivia is your best friend and business partner, but I want you to
Hmm.
know she has a grandchild and you can't tell her anything about it. Also, this affects Sunny.
Yeah, like I want to
But
burden you with all of this right now.
really it only affects me and what I think of Brooklyn." So so I'm livid at this point because now Lulu is like ranting and like saying things about how awful Brooklyn is. And I
Yeah.
was furious because it cuts to commercial. So at this point, I was livid because I'm like, oh, this is what she said that made me really angry. They're talking about a teenage girl who got pregnant and gave away her
Hmm.
baby. And then Lulu goes, "This is typical Brooklyn." I was
It's like,
like,
what does that
Valentine
even mean?
pregnant? A time you didn't even know her? That's typical Brooklyn. I was so angry. I'm like, Lulu was also pregnant in her youth and handled it the way she saw fit. Where does she get off? So I was so upset about that. And then when we came back from
Yeah.
commercial, I was so happy that Carly also pointed this out. What impressed me the most was how Carly talked to her about it, right? Because I find, again, you know, I feel that like Carly, Maxie, the same person.
Yes.
They're both people who are just, they've had their wild days. They're also a person who's wise and gives advice because of those wild days. They both
Hmm.
evolved. They're both deeply connected with many people, and they tend to be at the center of a lot of stuff. So I certainly feel like they're the same. And I feel that the way Carly approached her gently and making her see different perspective is the way that Maxie has had to kind of deal with Lulu since she's come back.
Yes. Yes.
And so she was very gentle and kind of pointing out that Bobby gave Carly up.
Yeah. Yeah.
She pointed out that she made a decision and Robin outed her. And the moment she was like, "Well, Robin," I was like, "Ah, please don't. Please don't. Please don't." And so it was just so interesting using the past in that way to hammer in a point. And so that's what we're talking about, that with the new writers, there's definitely been a lot of pulling of the past. And this is probably one of my more favorite ways in which they did that. But when
Yeah.
Carly was talking to her, like, she broadened the scope. She pointed out, not only highlighted compassion for the choice Brooklyn made, likening it to Lulu's decision to break into a room to find her daughter.
Yeah.
She pointed out that just so many people would be affected by this news, like the Quartermains, everyone, because we don't know. She's
Yes.
making a lot of assumptions about who knows and who doesn't know. And she told Carly, like when Carly asked her, "Is this about your rivalry?"
No,
No.
no, I'm better than that.
She said she wasn't petty.
Yeah, yeah. I was like,
And
do you know you?
oh my gosh. And the fact that they had a whole conversation about compassion for a mother being in a terrible spot and trying to do the best they can for them in that moment and for their child. You know, giving the credit that this you're thinking about what's best for your kid. And Lulu sort of cheapened Brooklyn's experience, and Carly had to kind of give her someone that she could respect and remind her, well, your grandmother gave a child up for adoption. Your
Yeah.
grandmother didn't tell you, she didn't tell other people. This was something that happened, and it happened privately just so she could see Brooklyn as a human person.
But nothing landed. Like the way
No,
their conversation ended was so infuriating. It made my blood boil. She said, like, once I look into Dante's eyes, I'll know. You'll know what? Because when you looked into his eyes, he did not like what he was looking at. But you
no.
chose to continue to march up those stairs. And honestly, what I'm looking forward to is and we'll dive into that scene, but that Lulu has no ability to have any type of self control or regulation. So I want her to blurt it out to everybody. I know it's going to be bad, but everybody turns to support Brooklyn and sees Lulu for the selfish, bad person that she is being right now, so that she can actually see how much people have changed.
Yeah. Like I hope that too. Like you're right. When she landed, like after everything Carly took the time to lay out for her, that's where she landed. I'm going to look into Dante's eyes. And as you pointed out, that was never a factor. She was always going to tell
Mm-hmm.
him. She said, to see if I
100%.
could keep this secret. And I'm like, but that was the point. That was the risk you made. And that's, you didn't think, what if I go into that room? You were looking through lawyer files, you were
Yeah.
looking through confidential information. You're just like, yeah, I'm never going to stumble upon anything interesting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, knowing this town, knowing who he's represented, it was
Mm-hmm.
private information. And I felt like if you were anyone with a code, you would have just walked in and kind of understood, I have to not touch this. And now I have to suffer and walk around with this. And that's the point. She won't deal with the discomfort of holding in the secret. And she never would. She didn't need Dante's eyes. The point is, secrets are fine when they concern her. She can run to a
Exactly.
brothel. She can, pursue like an investigation that got Nathan killed. She can even run off to save Charlotte without a word. She can
Yes,
keep secrets
absolutely.
just fine from Dante. And this is
Mm-hmm.
not about Dante. This is about wanting to erase who Brooklyn is to Dante. This is about
Yes.
her wanting Dante and everyone to see Brooklyn through her eyes. And she's missing the preview because she went to Carly. And Carly did not see Brooklyn through her eyes. She actually had a lot of compassion and tried to go,
Yeah.
hey, she's one of us, she's a person.
Yeah.
People. People. And it didn't really work, and I don't think this will work. I do have my worries, but I am hoping for what you're describing. So, like, honestly, it's really hard to even talk about the scene. I cannot express to you how disgusted I was in her
Yeah.
approach. Like, for her to say, this is what she kept saying, I'm not judging her, like when Carly was trying to, And if I have to hear her say that one more time, which I did today, have to hear her
Yes.
say, I'm not judging you. So she tells Carly, I'm not judging her. And then she tells Brooklyn to her face, I'm not judging you. I'm just judging your lies. Okay. And I'm not judging the decision you made at the time. I think you had every right to make the decision you made, just like I made the decision I made. But now it's time's up. Time's up on that decision. And now is not before. And now I decided that your decision no longer makes sense in light of me finding out. And just like you said in the past, that you didn't want Dante to know because your decision and choice would have been removed. I want to be that reason your choice is removed now. Okay.
Yeah,
Not
totally.
judging you. I'm just judging your lives because I think that if you're going to live your life, it should be done through what I would do and what I approve of. Okay. So this is just, and the fact that she, like, it killed me. It freaking killed me when she basically revealed to Brooklyn that she had a son. I just couldn't with
Oh,
that.
my heart broke so much for Brooklyn and her face. She's like, you're a lot like, and she just kept pushing and pushing. And I am, I was like, kick her out of the room, kick her out
Me
of the
too.
room, literally kick her, slap her, throw some drink in her face, do something.
I
But that's the
kind
whole
of wish
point.
she
Brooklyn
did.
has evolved. But that's the whole point, right? Brooklyn is this different Brooklyn. Maybe old Brooklyn would have done that, pull her hair and toss her out the door. But new Brooklyn is in her feelings about the fact that she is going through some major things about fertility. She is in a vastly different phase in her life. And she just found out such an important missing piece to her.
I don't know. I just think the news is just that heavy. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because like it's meaningless to Lulu, that news.
Yeah.
You know, for
Yeah.
her, this is just juicy. And that's the point. She's like, I can't keep this juicy secret to myself. She ran and spewed it to Carly immediately.
Hmm.
And I think that when you talk about old versus new Brooklyn in that moment, I think at the end of the day, that's the point. The news that was dropped was so heavy. It
Hmm.
was so personal. And Lulu was really flippant about it. To her, this was
Yeah.
just a weapon. And after every conversation, like the way she walked in, and I was so happy that like Dante saw that in her and was like, if this is not about the kids, leave me alone. Like, I'm so tired of walking you through your
Yeah.
feelings. Okay.
Hmm.
Like, yes, you're in a coma, but at what point do you not have to like process this and do the work and you just keep lashing out? And the fact that like he keeps saying, and that's the thing, like it could go one of two ways, but I'm hoping it's going like in favor of, Brooklyn, to be honest, when he talks about how supportive she was and then
Hmm.
Sunny pointing out to Don, I don't know, because he tells Dante
Hmm.
like there's a kinship, the way it is for him and Lois and the way that it is for him and Brooklyn.
Yes.
Lois kept a really big secret, and even in her conversation with Ned, to the degree in which nobody knows. Like, this is gonna blow up in so many different
So
ways,
many
and, like,
ways.
I
Yeah.
don't think that Sunny knows, right? Like, Sunny has just been
No, I
a
don't think so
supportive
either.
person, so he doesn't really know. So it's like you have that foundation being laid out. Lately, Dante has definitely highlighted how important Brooklyn is to him,
Yes.
and I do think there's gonna be a shock. But again, so in that moment with Brooklyn and her, I just felt that you dropped this huge bomb and you twisted the knife and you were so blinded by your own everything, all the grossness of how you feel about Brooklyn. And then you have the nerve to kind of like be a detective. Like, she does that. Like, let's say she's with Maxie in Brooklyn and then people start pointing the truth to her. She's like, oh no, like I'm not unfair. And then they're like, you kind of are. And then she's like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't see it this way. And then in that moment with Brooklyn, Brooklyn's not really answering her. But in that moment, she kind of moved from being against Brooklyn to let me help figure out how we found this information. Perhaps your mother was the client.
So
Perhaps this
weird.
wasn't you. And it was weird to watch her vacillate in that moment. And I personally wish that Brooklyn stayed in the heaviness and just said, just leave, do whatever you want with it. Like, just go.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Just so Lulu could understand this is bigger than you realize. And what you did was actually share more news that Brooklyn was not aware of. What killed me the most was Brooklyn's need to justify anything. I hated that
Yeah.
Lulu was privy to any piece of information when she went looking for
Same.
it, like through Cody. And look, I think Cody would be quick to forgive anything, but I kind of hope that there are actual consequences. Like, I know this is going to be hard for Chase. It's going to be hard for Dante. So what does that mean? Like he'll have the right to be mad and to be shocked, but at the end of the day, like I don't think Chase will ever unfeel or unthink everything he told her when he found out about the baby, right? I think that's all true.
Exactly. Hmm.
Um I don't think it changes, but I think the dust will need to settle for that to ring true, right? That we'll find out it's Dante, but it doesn't change the decision as a whole. It doesn't change, that Brooklyn made this decision that was private and belonged to her. Okay.
Yes.
So that this is between like, her and Brooke and Chase. And part of me does wish this because Brooklyn pointed out that Lulu obtained the information illegally.
Yes.
To be honest, I would have called the cops on her butt in that moment. But what I do hope is, remember how Chase used to arrest Brooklyn a lot? And he's
Yes.
arrested her in a fight with Lulu? Like,
Hmm.
part of me hopes that Chase could stand up for Brooklyn. I do hope that he remains loyal. I hope that when he hears this and he understands, and I hope it gets told. Like, I don't like this cruelty happening in secret.
Yeah.
Because what she did that entire moment with Brooklyn was incredibly cruel. She found out she had a son, and now she's understanding that her mom knows more than she realizes. And again, all of this that is over Lulu's head.
Oh
And
yeah.
I am hoping that as the dust settles, I'm hoping that Lulu gets the appropriate response, that she's not forgotten in this mess. I
Yes.
hope
Yes.
Chase actually verbalizes what he thinks of her. I hope that I think this is going to be a lot for Dante to take. And this is actually Brooke, like that was part of Brooklyn's consideration. She didn't want to drop a bomb on Dante
Hmm.
given everything he was going through. And Dante's state of grief, the fact that that was never a consideration for Lulu, never,
Yep. Never.
that his whole world had just been turned upside down. And she throws this on top of it. I do hope that like at some point when the dust settles, I do hope that Dante comes around. You know what I mean? Because if
Hmm.
they are showing this deep relationship with them, I do think he'll come around. He knows that his mom had done it, right? And he forgave her.
Yes. Yes.
He may not understand. Like again, mind you, like the mom was protecting him from Sunny's world, but at the same time, she was just a teenager,
Yeah.
and she's not wrong to think that, Dante may have wanted to like keep the baby or whatever. But I do hope that there is a scene where Dante can call Lulu out on the ugliness and call her out on her true motive. I was never a part of that decision and don't pretend otherwise. And
Yes.
I hope that part's there. I hope Maxie gets a piece of that too about what she did and what she found out and what she did with that information. And when you kind of described what you said, that you hope in the end people rally around Brooklyn, because you have to remember, like, Brooklyn was 16.
Yeah.
And to Ned, he's going to be furious that Lois didn't tell him, right?
Exactly.
So that's the other factor. There's sure the Brooklyn stuff, and you can get mad. Oh, you had a baby from me. She was 16.
Exactly.
That's major, major important information to understand the context, right?
Hmm.
So that's the thing. Will that hit as badly as Lulu thinks it will? Right?
Exactly.
Will the mature minds actually be like, "Oh my god, you vindictive little weirdo at 16." You know what I mean? Where her
Yeah.
moms had supported her through the whole thing, and the fact that she blocks it out. Yeah, I get it. And so for
Hmm.
me, I'm just so worried because the one support Brooklyn has had has been her mom. And to
Yes.
know that, because what is Lois going to out everything? Like, I hope she does. Like, at this point, I hope she doesn't
I
continue to
know.
hide a next lie. But what, like, again, that scene today between Sunny and Dante and about their kinship with the Cerulo women, like, how's Sunny gonna feel with Lois being like, I can't say no to you? And I feel like Carly in that moment's like, oh, it's Geo. Geo's the baby.
I know,
Okay.
right?
All
I
right.
really
Thank
felt like she
you.
put it together. Okay.
Yeah, 100%. So now it's like Ned with Lois. Now it's like Olivia with Lois. It's
Hmm.
Brooklyn's devastation with Lois. Now it's Tracy's shock
Oh
with
yeah.
Lois. But what is Tracy going to feel about Lulu, who directly attacked Brooklyn?
I know. Oh my gosh, I can't wait.
because it was part of the argument, right? Like, you're my
Hmm.
assistant and you mooch off my grandmother.
Yeah.
So part of me wonders, will this be the big wake up call? Not just about, Lulu who came back after a 4-year coma, get your crap together, but like just in general.
In
Like,
general.
she's been immature and fixate, like when it, you know what I mean? Just generally. But like, I wonder if this is going to be the final moment where this is going to be the beginning of Lulu's character, right? She's hit a
Yes.
wall. She's been running around and she seems to think that like once she finds Charlotte, she'll be whole. Can of worms with
Total
that.
can of worms.
Lulu doesn't have a home. Where is Charlotte going to want to stay? Is Charlotte going to want to be with her brother? Is Charlotte going to want an apartment with her mama? Like, what's that going to be like? You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
I don't think Lulu really ever thought, she's like, well, I can't be settled until I find Charlotte. And I get it, like, it means she wants to be with her daughter. But I will say this, her daughter wasn't taken by a stranger.
Exactly.
And that's what makes the situation different. It's not that Spinelli or Dante or nobody cares. Everybody is actively looking. However, people are not exactly alarmed because it's
No.
not a stranger. She chose her father. And yes,
Yep.
we can argue that, Charlotte is young and she doesn't know, but honestly, she has a rationale. She feels bad for her dad. She sees her dad as lonely. She sees herself as his only family. Like, she kind of understands more than people give her credit for. Is it right that this child feels responsible for her dad?
Oh no.
No, but he is the main parent that she's always known.
Yes.
So it is complicated. It's very complicated. And so that's also why people are, maybe, I'm not going to say they don't care. I think everybody wants to find Charlotte. And again, they've had more time to digest this, but again, she's not in danger. She's with someone who would lay their life down for her. And at the same
Hmm.
time, the only person who's brought danger to her since she's been away has been Lulu.
Exactly.
So there's that whole thing. But the fact that she thinks bringing home a child that she's had always a touch and go relationship with is
Hmm.
somehow going to make her whole, then what?
So
What
messed
life
up.
are you going to give Charlotte? You're barely around for Rocco. And to hear Rocco's side, I miss my sister. I heard from my sister, but I'm scared to tell my mom because of what she might do.
Right? Oh, I wish somebody could repeat what this boy said to his mother.
Right? And like the fact that it's a weird situation for him because he misses his sister too. Like, he actually has a close relationship with her, right?
Yeah.
They're tied. Charlotte does not have that with her mom. She loves her mom, sure, but they've never had that relationship. When push comes to shove, Charlotte will always choose her dad. And that's the thing. Like, Lulu's not vying for a relationship with Charlotte for what it is. She's vying to be the Valentine in her life.
She's so Nina, old
Oh
Nina,
yeah, yeah,
basically
yeah.
talking about Charlotte like a possession, as opposed to, what happens when the real life Charlotte comes into town and what building that relationship looks like.
Exactly. So what did you think about the like Rocco Danny argument?
Oh my gosh, it was amazing. Those young men are incredible
Oh
actors. And,
yeah.
like you wrote that post about what this ripple effect could be for future storylines. And I definitely felt it in that moment. Like, you captured it so well. Just that passion and it's not rivalry, but they're young and their
It's a
emotions are
history.
so big. Exactly. And they have come such a long way, and where this is going to go. And I also loved so much how they changed the story to explain what was going on to Dante. It was so good because
Oh
it was
my
still being
gosh.
brothers and
Oh
still getting
yes.
their point across. So, like, showing that line of, yes, we are family, we're mad at each other, but we love each other, and yes, we'll talk it out, and fine, we'll shake hands with
Yes.
about Renee was incredible.
That's what I mean. Like, they are brothers and I love that. I love solidifying that relationship for them, right? Cuz this
Hmm.
came out of the Sam and Dante love.
Yeah.
And I love that that relationship is essentially being cemented between Danny and Rocco. And I mean, honestly, if GH is doing all of us justice, that will be a powerful relationship that will resonate and continue to like be something huge for years to come. I think
Hmm.
that scene showed what exactly the range they're capable of. They're capable of great love, but they're also capable of like arguing, but it took
Yes.
me a minute to follow what Danny was saying. When he said, "My family always helps yours," I
Mhm.
didn't. I was like, "What?" And I was like, "Right, Sam, Sam." And
Yeah.
and then more than that, I mean, look, at the end of the day, Jason would abandon Danny for any adrenaline rush, more so when Danny's like at
Stop.
Danny's request. He's like, "Do it, dad." And I was like, honestly, like, Rocco, this is your only chance. Like Jason knows what he's doing. If you want your sister back, it's a win-win, right? Your sister can come
Yes.
back, your mom is not in danger, but then that's the thing though, like I know that Rocco loves his sister, but I guess maybe the question there is, did Rocco want Charlotte home? Right?
That's a really good question.
Because why else would you get mad? Like, I get it. He felt betrayed, but I think that Danny did the right thing. And I mean, if we're talking about instincts, those are good instincts. Knowing when something's a
Yes,
secret and knowing when it isn't, which is a tough thing as a kid, of like you
absolutely.
want that loyalty, but you need to know when it's important to pull in a grown up to the situation. Like Danny, no, both of them. No, Rocco ratted out Danny for Cyrus. Again, a good decision.
Right.
And
Yes,
Danny
that's true.
understood how important Charlotte was, and he has no idea how important Charlotte is to, like, Anna, who just remembered her.
Ugh,
So
cannot.
so that's the thing. In this situation, all of Rocco's major worries were kind of resolved by Danny's what Danny did, but it's the
Mhm.
fact of, like, did he actually want Charlotte home? But yeah, like when I realized what Danny was saying, and just to if you put it in context and remember that, like, Danny's had his biological sister stripped from him. So again, could factor in, right? So not only
Yes.
does Danny not have his sister consistently because of Drew, he's trying to give you your sister.
Yeah.
Okay. And like he told his only remaining parent to go risk his life to make your family whole. So
Yeah.
I get you're mad that he like outed your secret, but because of Danny's choice, he's giving you the opportunity to be with every single one of like your family members.
Danny's it was very Jason, like Danny truly embodying his inner Jason.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, I mean, that was just so powerful, and I've always liked it. It kinda sucks that Jake's not around because
Yeah.
I liked it when you had as many of those boys in the fold.
Yeah.
But what Danny and Rocco are able to accomplish is just, like, super, super epic. So look, Sidwell showed up at the Quartermains. Turns out Anna had him tailed, and even though she knows that Sidwell straight up kidnapped Sasha at gunpoint and tried to like blow her up, she's like, "Yeah, I mean, whatever. If he wants to walk in the Quartermains and lurk around there, I won't have my officers intervene in any shape or form." And then Sasha's all weary, but then she's like, "Well, maybe I will take your money." And I mean, to be honest, he's kind of slick. He's saying, "Sasha, I'm going to pay you to tell people the truth. I want you to tell them that your mom stole the diamonds and everything I did to you. I just want you to give them context." Like, that's all he's asking. I mean, would you turn down $250,000 simply to tell the truth and to give people context?
I was so torn in those scenes. I'm not gonna lie, because he is a very smooth
He's so
criminal.
good. He is. He's like, "There were no laws. When there are laws, I'll follow them." I don't think that's true. Um,
I don't think so either, because well, who
yeah,
is he gonna frame Alexis for
well,
murdering?
I know. I was like, for me, I was like, how many times does Alexis have to be in such a
Yeah.
situation?
Yeah.
Fine, sure, she has murdered people, but to be framed, like, oh, anyways, that's just
Yeah,
especially
not
after the whole
cool.
gun in the water thing. Um,
Yeah.
so going back to Sasha, he's basically saying, give them more details. But at the
Yes.
you're right. It's not so clear cut because at the end of the day, Sasha's not dumb. She knows exactly who he is and who he's capable of. And just
Yeah.
because he's asking you to tell details, do you still think he should be involved in deception? I know that that is not her decision in the end,
Mhm.
but still, her conversations with Jason are hilarious.
It's like, I love the fact that, like it or not, I don't wanna see chemistry between them because he's the grandpa of this baby. But I do like the, like, teenager angsty thing she's
That's
doing of,
it.
like, young days Carly, and he's just like, I love the way he looks at her like, "Wow, so this is what I went through with Carly. I'm too old for this shit." Like
Okay, but this funny thing is I actually see it differently.
Okay,
I
tell
feel like
me.
he's dealing with his old self. He's dealing with Jason that everyone
Oh
else deals
my
with. That's why I
god.
think it's so funny because there is the generational piece. There is that
Yes.
pain, like, oh, you're so not cool. But that's the thing. Everything she's saying, I'm like, honestly, Jason, why don't you understand her? Remember, I want to make it on my own. He wanted nothing to do with the quartermain maid.
So
He wants to
true.
be hyper independent, but when Sasha says it, he can't even fathom. He's like, "Yeah, but you're Michael's baby mama. Doesn't work for you." It's like, "What?" And he's like, "Your own money. Why? I got cash." I was
I
just
got
like,
so much cash.
I was thinking it's so funny because it's like that's the whole kind of full circle moment, right? Jason has now
Yes.
become a family man. He's moved back into the Quartermains. He's in the fold. He's literally co-leading the family with Tracy, and now he's being faced with the bratty version of himself of like,
That's
I don't want to be a part of
hilarious.
the family. And now he's like having to kind of like, wow, that is a little obnoxious, actually. I mean, my family just wanted to help. And so I just find it so weird to hear Jason go, I don't get why you don't want to owe people or be controlled. Explain it to me. So I'm finding that whole
Love it.
thing to be hilarious. And so obviously and understandably, Jason's like, hey, Sidwell, come with me at gunpoint. And of course, who's tailing him? Of course, whose job it is to be right there on side quest with Jason. Anna Banana. She's like, hey guys. And then they're like, we're taking a walk. I just thought it was so funny. So
No,
funny.
but like honestly, she's using her badge as a way to legally stalk Jason.
Oh my God, I love that. To legally stalk Jason. That's so funny. And do you know what killed me the most? Because
What?
first of all, I was like, Jason, could you just stop telling Anna things? But you know how like we
Honestly,
say that
yeah.
Anna's major tactic is tell me, confess your
Yep.
crime, and then she cries.
Yep.
So then Jason says, yeah. So I asked him with a gun, did you blow up Sonny's penthouse? And he said no, and I actually believe him. And then in her mind, she's like, really? Why would you think that? I'm like, because the difference is he uses a gun, you use tears. So it's possible
Exactly.
that people are more inclined to be truthful with a gun to your
Oh,
head.
I
Sit.
cannot.
And then, like, she's just standing in front of him. There's nothing really left to say. They go back and forth about being tailed. And he's like, but if you're tailing him, why would you allow him on the court of
Hmm.
ground?
She had
Also,
no answer.
he's like, he's like this international criminal, and there's a ton of kids running around, and you're just like, yeah, I'm not going to do anything about this. We're the
Jason
peaceful
wasn't
people.
in the room, so I can't go
No, we just watch weird things happen. We don't actually intervene.
in.
Elizabeth, Detective Weber, where are you? Um, and so then, with nothing left to say, she goes, remember, Jason, we're supposed to find Charlotte together with no leads. Do you remember? Do you want to stare at each other's faces until a lead comes up? And then the fact that she has zero shame, zero shame. The moment
Zero.
she's like, oh, Carly didn't tell you, I thought
Oh,
we guys
so
told
gross.
each other everything. It was like going back to the police thingy where they like she was holding him and she was like, "You
Hmm.
understand me?" Oh yeah, I finally Carly understood you. And I'm like, "You are so sad. Like I can't even begin to talk about how sad you are. Like you're every single time there's a chance for a Carly comparison, she grabs it."
Yeah, totally.
And like you have like the Anna Jason scenes, and then you have like the Carly Brennan on the pier in the same episode, and I just have to say like both, I'm like no, like I'm just like no. And part of me wonders, like, again, wishful thinking because of how I feel about Anna,
Hmm.
not to mention Anna and Jason. Oh my god, what is wrong with this guy? Has he lost his mind? He's like, I'm not talking to the commissioner, I'm telling my friend. And I'm like, Jason, what is wrong with
What's
you?
going
What is
on?
wrong with you?
It's
Like,
gone
where's
too
Diane?
soft.
I feel like Diane needed to pop up and slap him at that
Yep.
moment.
Yep.
So part of me is like, okay, it's weird with him and Anna. It's kind of like put to like a halt in a way
Hmm.
because of the Sasha deal and also with Jason not pursuing her
Yeah,
romantically.
that.
That's
Hmm.
the big
Hmm.
stall. And
Hmm.
then they're stalling Carly and Brennan. And part of me wonders if like the Jason Carly will come full circle at some point. Like, I don't know. Like right now they're purposely separating them into both worlds, and maybe that's all it ever will be. But I
Hmm.
was just like, I'm just trying to make sense of why this is happening because there's obviously a parallel between both their relationships. And
Yes.
so, okay, so I didn't fully agree with Lucas before about his concerns for about Brennan.
Okay.
But then I was like, oh my gosh, I agree. And not just because of the Joss element, because I think at the end of the day, like, this is the beginning of Joss's character. But obviously,
Yes.
I'm a Carly fan, right? This is generational. Carly, like, she was the one I was fan of, and then she had the Jocelyn. Cool. you know? But like from Carly's perspective, she's gonna hate all of it. Which I
Oh
get.
yeah, big
As the
time.
mom, she's like, why did you do this to my daughter? But for the Jocelyn herself, cool. That's a great
Very
storyline.
cool. Yeah,
Awesome.
totally.
So there's that. So we know how Carly is gonna feel about it. For me, I was just like, wait a sec. The WSB may be, but it's not the other side of the law. It's its own law,
Yes.
and it's not like dating a cop, right? Because the difference with him being a WSB agent is that he can be a target, right? Like
Oh
he's
yeah.
a spy. There is an like unknown amount of enemies that could target him. And for that reason, I'm like, why would you do that? Like
I'm
it
out.
kind of hit me. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. For that reason, I'm out. And it was like the fact that Dawn is still young and the decision with Sunny and Jason happened pre-kids. And then after
Exactly.
kids, you couldn't kind of just pretend that didn't exist. So that's actually what bothers me. So this is a post Sunny era, and you're gonna do this? Like I didn't start falling for the post Sunny Carly Spencer for you to go do this. Like it just hit me. Like if you're not going to be with Sunny, why on earth would you be with somebody else who kind of brings you into danger in a similar way? It's not the same as dealing with a cop, and I get it, with Chase or Dante, it's like something could happen to them, but they don't
Mhm.
exactly become targets or have enemies that chase them down in the same way that Sunny or a Brennan would.
And I just don't like this Brennan character and the way that he treats her. Like Carly is really strong and assertive, and she is a business owner, and she was reminded of that, and it came out again that she remembered who she was.
Yeah.
But they are not teenagers. Like he said absolutely nothing to her after that whole restaurant debacle with flirting blatantly right in front of her. He made her zero promises, commitments, and then gets all in a like I don't even know what the right word is, but he acted like a toddler at Bobby's.
Yeah,
Like,
but he confuses me too because when you're talking, I'm like, so that is what I heard then, right? Because to my understanding, he wanted her to take time to be okay with living in the mystery.
yes,
And then at the 11th hour, he's like, but what if I want commitment?
yes.
And we've all heard that kind of line before, like maybe I want that too. And she said, no, you don't. And when she called him on his crap, being like, you had one messaging, now you're suddenly changing it. And he's like, my feelings are hurt. I have 2 seconds ago decided to change my entire, in quotations, lifestyle for you. And you don't want to. Bye. You're the reason this is over. That's what was happening.
Yeah, so it's like gaslighting plus a bunch of red flags. I'm like, just run, girl, run.
Yeah, so I
Honestly.
like I finally kind of saw the danger element because I'm like, yeah, but he's not like in the mob. But then I'm like, no, it's I see what Lucas's concern is, and I was liking the independent Carly kind of doing her own thing. Again, I
Me
just
too.
prefer to see her with Nina. Like I prefer to see shenanigans than deal with her romantic life because clearly nothing's going on there. And honestly, I'm perfectly content that there not be. He's not for her.
He is
Let's have some fun.
truly not for her. Like,
Let's have some
honestly.
fun. I loved it. How did you feel about the like Carly, Nina, Willow scenes?
I'm getting goosebumps again. Honestly, she had a meeting of the mommies. That was
Yeah.
very brave of her. But like, okay, so I'm like watching this scene like a hawk. Like, I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
can I catch the acting on top of the acting here? Like,
Yes,
what
I
is
know
going
exactly
on?
what you mean. I know that's exactly what you meant. Can I spot Carly acting like she already knows?
And once she left, like, I think I may have gotten up and screamed when they like looked at each other and she said, "How did I do?" or something. I'm
I
like,
know,
"Oh
so
my
good.
god, this is amazing! It's so good." I got goosebumps. I love, love, love them together as a duo.
Oh yeah, because last week we were talking about seeing ease between the two of them and the fact that like
Yes,
I'm like Willow left them and she's just there with like they're both there with their wine and at ease and like
yes,
and pointing out well like I had to she needs to be able to lean on you And so that's where I want to see Carly. I want to see her with Olivia. I want to see her at the hotel. I want to see her with Nina. I'm kind of done. Like I don't really want to see this BS with her and Brennan. Like if
No.
we're going to see Brennan, just focus on Jocelyn. Like you got what you wanted. You got yourself an asset. You didn't get Jason. You found
Hmm.
someone else who's a future Jason. So just do that.
Yeah, totally.
And she has this douchey handler, which is going to become like her, you know.
I know,
Yeah.
I can't, but I'm so glad she kicked him in the crotch. It was great.
I know. I was like, because he kept telling her, you got to play dirty. You got to like fight to win. And I was like, so Jocelyn, when I was just waiting, I was just waiting for that to happen. But I want to go back to Felicia for just 1 second. Okay.
Yes.
So I have to admit that for a while, I was like, well, Carly can choose. And, she's a big girl. She could do whatever. But I love, again, the callback to the loyalty that Felicia has to Bobby and in turn Carly after they made peace when Bobby passed.
Yes.
And so but then this was nagging at me because at one point I was like, yeah, Carly, do you? But now I'm like so against it. And maybe it has to do with Felicia. Maybe. Because
Okay.
I look at Felicia, I'm like, you know what? Like, she is the only one on the show with instincts. She's the only one who's ever right, and she's the only one who ever solves a crime.
Yeah, she's low key running the town.
Exactly. So when I think it was that, I think I just kind of looked at Felicia and was like, even though there were times where it's like we saw Brennan being like sweet with Carly and nice with her. We also are
Hmm.
now, and again, I guess I'm being gaslit too, because I'm watching for him wine and dine her, doing her favors, but then behind her back, doing whatever with Jocelyn.
Right? Mm.
And then Felicia's been singing the same tune the whole time.
Yes.
And I was like, meh, whatever. Change the station. But now I'm like fully tuned in to Felicia because I think she's like the only one who knows what's up.
I totally agree. I am on board. I wasn't, we were confused, I think, by her working at the hospital, but she still has some really great storylines.
Yeah, like yeah, I just need to see her doing other things, and I'm okay. Like Felicia, I'm
I
also okay,
love, but I love when she went to go sit with Maxie and she's like, so you gonna tell me what that was about?
right? Because when she did that, I was like, they were at the same restaurant, like it just clicked. There is like a funny scene that I probably should make a video about because it was funny. It was Willow and Isaiah. So
Hmm.
he was saying like you're great in the ER. Oh, okay. I did think
What?
of this. Remember how you were saying that like Elizabeth passing the baton to Willow? Well, Elizabeth's an ER nurse, right?
Yes.
And so he's encouraging Willow, you should be an ER nurse. And then she said these two things. It's exciting. The instant gratification. And I was like, no doubt,
Oh
Willow. No
boy.
doubt.
Oh boy.
And then Jordan, I love it. They're like, let's put a mask on her. Like when you watch those movies
So
where
cute.
where the
Yeah.
girl wears glasses and it's the
Yes.
sheet to like just take your glasses off. You're so hot. And it's like with Jordan, it's like we had to put a mask on her. That's not gonna convince me that she's not a goddess. Okay. You
I
can't
know,
put a
right?
mask on her and be like, yeah, look at her just dressed down. It's like she's still stunning. Like you tried, but you
Gorgeous.
can't. But I guess I didn't expect what I got, like the it went from hot to just not.
It did, but what we love about Jordan is she'll stand her ground. She won't let anybody, no matter how hot they are, try to change her mind and her direction when she's focused on something. And it's one of the things we absolutely love about her, her
But
strength.
it's exactly what I love, and I absolutely love the fact that she had like zero ingredients. Like, look at the space. It's a
So love
bachelor
it.
pad. And we
Yes.
talk about this. She is this female character. Yes, she's strong, but we've always said she's the flip of Sunny. Like she has the same power, but she's not as erratic as him. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like he does
Hmm.
what he wants when he wants. He can handle himself, but she does it just a lot more regulated. And I just find it funny how they play into that stereotype. Like she's this female Jordan character, but the way it's being played. You know what I mean? Like I've got nothing in my fridge. It's very bachelor pad. Like look at it. Look at the apartment she lives in.
It's stunning.
And then you have the flip side of Drew's character, where he is this male character playing a mistress.
I know. I love it. I love it so much.
Even in his tactics with Portia, like honestly, I'm
Oh,
a little
so
grossed
bad.
out. Like his whole
Me too.
conversation with Curtis, I was like, I love how mad he is when people do what he does. He's like, you shouldn't have tried to control a situation I was controlling. I was trying to do something and then you did it harder and better, and I'm angry. And then and Curtis knows. He's like, they've got nothing on me. Everybody knows my flaws. And I'm like, yep, they
Yep,
do.
totally.
Thank you. Thank you for
Bang
that.
on.
But yeah, the fact that he opted to go to directly to Portia, and honestly, I was like, Portia, if I were you, I would have been like, you're creeping me out. Can you not
Well, the way it
threaten
was
me in such a gross way?
and closing in on her space
Yeah.
physically and being in
Yeah.
her office, I did not like how uncomfortable that made me feel.
I was just laughing. I'm like, Willow, are you gonna like the fact that he's going after somebody else's wife? I mean, yes, it's to
Right?
threaten her, but still, it's like, how do you feel about this? And it's like, what a weird position for her to be in. Of course, she's more caught up in like the Curtis aspect of it all, but it's just like you have Willow who's gonna be like doting on her boyfriend. He's coming around the hospital. Meanwhile, he's like straight up blackmailing Portia. And I wonder, is she gonna be like, well, Portia deserves it. She did a wrong thing. I did a wrong thing, so I should get a richer person to put me up in the kids. You know what I mean? I should upgrade the house.
Oh,
So
I don't know what area of gray she's going to land on.
I have no idea, but now we're seeing that like it's a convenient moment for Drew to remember Oscar. Now that there's like
Oh,
a lot
so
of PR
gross.
damage, he wants
Mm-hmm.
to invoke like Oscar's name, and then
Yes.
like Kai, who is so like he'll stand up to Cyrus for Trina, and he
Yeah.
feels extremely loyal because he's so new, and he's
Oh, yeah.
like
Such a
any
normie.
any friend of Trina's parents. And I'm like, are you gonna tell this boy? You gonna
I
tell this
know.
boy? And what will Kai do? Because he's so like on the side of what he thinks is right. And so like I don't know. And Drew has drawn in Elizabeth to help.
Yes.
Anyways, like we'll see what's gonna happen there, but he is sort of doing damage control. And to be honest, I kind of felt that like when Tracy was going at it with Martin, there
Mm-hmm.
was one thing I thought that she could have tried. First of all, when like they finally got Tracy to agree and then Martin lashed out.
So bad.
I
So
was
funny,
like, what
though.
are you doing? But I feel that Tracy should have gone more the PR route, saying, I will make it known that the congressman is moving his dead relatives out of
Yes.
spite
Yes.
because he's been on the outs with his family while moving in on his nephew's wife while he's recovering in a burn unit. Like I would have just threatened that.
I know, right? It's
And I
kind
would
of
have
weird the way they're playing it.
Yeah, like I would have said that Drew is systematically damaging his relationship with his family and evoking the most damage possible. Like I would have threatened like a PR nightmare.
Yeah, I like that way more.
I will say, like, it's so funny because I saw this old clip. I'm like, oh my God, I should totally post it because it's like an old clip of them getting ready for Willow and Michael's wedding. It's
Mm-hmm.
just given what they're saying in light of where we are right now is like,
I know.
whoa. But that was the moment Tracy popped back into town. So Tracy comes back into town.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't know why they're rushing this wedding, because like Willow's sick and Drew hasn't returned yet. And so
Yes.
they're doing this wedding and just hoping that Willow pulls through and that they'll be celebrating their 10th year wedding anniversary. And like it just kind of shows the difference between Tracy's relationship to Willow and to Sasha, and also how Tracy has evolved since she's returned to the show. With everything with Gregory dying,
Mm-hmm.
we've seen Tracy evolve, right? She's starting not just to see herself through her father's eyes, but also maybe that she could be good too, and through the eyes of her mother, that she could also be like Lila and is not just a Quartermain, like, sorry, is not just Edward. And
Yes.
so she even went through that kind of depressive phase. And so, like, I think for Tracy, it's really important to have these real relationships, even though she's going about them in a Tracy way. She's cultivated a
Yes.
very deep relationship with Brooklyn, one with Cody. She's establishing one with Jason right now. Her relationship with Ned has even evolved. And with Sasha, it's like Willow has Wiley. I guess they're both Michaels, but like this is the thing. Do you remember that before they got married, Bobby gave Willow a bracelet to welcome her as a Spencer? What they were trying to do was give Willow her side of the family because everything was about Michael.
Yeah.
So she was being welcomed to the Quartermains, the Corinthos, the Spencers, but it was more just the Spencers and the Quartermains. And I felt like what Bobby and Carly were trying to do in lieu of her not having her own extended family was trying
Mm-hmm.
to have a girl's moment with just Willow.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
I want that bracelet back. I don't think she should have that. It was a Spencer bracelet. And I think that with Tracy and Sasha having this talk, it's like she told Sasha about Luke and about that love story. And I just
Yeah.
feel that because Tracy's in a different place and she has a different relationship with Sasha, and she doesn't know, right? Because she thinks it's Jason's baby. Um,
Hmm.
but knowing it's Michael's, I wonder what that would mean given the Luke aspect.
Hmm.
It exists obviously with Michael's other
Yes.
kids, but it's different. She doesn't have a
It's
really a relationship with Willow, but obviously things changed with Michael and she became an advocate for Michael and really wanting to stand up for him. So this has been the first, I guess you could say, test where she's really stepping up for Michael. And she sees, like, I just feel like when Tracy finds out that Sasha did all of this to once again secure custody for Michael, she did it
hmm.
when she pretended to cheat on Chase to make sure that Michael had Wiley,
Yeah.
and to do it again to protect him over Willow is going to be huge in terms of Tracy's loyalty tests.
Oh yeah.
But it's also the Luke factor, that there's that connection to like also a child related to Luke. I don't know. I just feel like since it came up, it has a significance.
I think so too, and I like the way you put it. Oh my gosh, I think we covered all of the things and
All of
talked
the
about, I
things.
mean, yeah, all of the things and covered all the stuff. I know you gave away one of your favorite lines. Did you have any others?
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
it was James choosing a pink cast, choosing
So
his mom's
cute.
favorite color, hoping that she won't be mad and won't notice the broken arm. That kid is something else, and I love that like he popped back up and in the way that he did. It was spectacular.
It was so perfect. Oh my
Mhm.
gosh. This line kind of made me think about you. It was when Felicia and Anna were spying on Brennan's date with Carly.
Okay.
And Anna's like, I brought my gun. And Felicia's like, I
Yes.
told you not to bring it. And she said, I thought it was code. I'm
I
like,
know.
that is Anna
I
in a
know.
nutshell.
Yes. And then she's has the nerve to tell Felicia, I have a job, you know. I'm like, do you know? Somebody needs to record that on your phone. And okay, this is a favorite line that has never been said. Oh my gosh, can I find it? It's about Anna and Jason. So
Mhm.
this is about them on their mission to find Charlotte. And I wrote, that's going to be comforting. The woman who shot me is here with a hitman.
I love that hard. Oh my god. Okay, wait. I did think about you on something else. It was okay. So you remember back in the day, like they used this line to death, drag bingo with their
Yes.
exes on a date.
Yes.
So the drag bingo of this era is you fix my plumbing.
Oh my gosh. Like, you are so right. Oh my gosh, you are so right. You are so right. That was one date that led to nothing that she actually trashed her whole career for. Carly and him barely had any moments, and they will never stop talking about the plumbing. Oh my gosh, I'm trauma right now. People.
On that
Wow.
note, and we're gonna give stars to everybody. It was such a
Everybody
jam-packed week. Like I think it was
except Drew,
Wednesday.
always.
I except for Drew. No, like I couldn't believe how much happened this week and came to light. It's been a wild
Yeah.
week, and I can't wait for next week. Stars to everybody, folks. That's a wrap. We did it. Have a fantastic weekend.
Bye.
Bye.